Live from the rooftop of the Hermann London Real Estate Group in beautiful downtown Maplewood, it's the St. Louis Realtor Podcast with your host, Adam Kruse.
Welcome everybody to the St. Louis Realtor Podcast live from the rooftop of the Hermann London Real Estate Group. I'm your host, Adam Kruse, with my co-host here, Shannon St. Pierre.
Hello.
We're excited today because we have two very, very special guests, really three very special guests. We've got the Valenza team from Hermann London here, Vinnie and Anne, and Junior. Is he Junior?
Vinnie Jr.
Vinnie Jr.
Vinnie Jr. Cool. So,
And how old is Vinnie Jr. now?
4 months and counting.
4 months.
wow. All right. So we are going to just get into a bunch of different topics with the Valenzas. But first, Shannon, let's talk about how this crazy real estate market is affecting everything. The sellers are getting way more than they're even asking for.
I don't know that they're getting way more. I think things are just not sitting on the market. Things are, there's a lot of activity out there. I think a lot of people have come out from hibernation from this really dark, cold winter that it's been. So
We must
now
be
I
working
feel
different deals because I'm seeing people getting $20,000 over asking price.
Yeah, but I do a lot of investment stuff, so that hasn't necessarily been, So I do some of the residential has just gone quick, and there's been I think multiple offers, but it hasn't been crazy out of control. But the investment properties I've seen are like what would normally be sitting on the market for longer is now just kind of flying off the shelf, and I'm like, okay.
But for not for multiple offers, and you're not having to go way over.
Not having to go way over, but it's kind of like this, I think people are purchasing buildings for more and they're less quality.
I'm dealing with a lot of buyers that are trying to buy in really popular areas where we go and we love it, and we know we have, it went from where we would try to negotiate on a property to now we're having to beg, essentially, to be the one who gets the property.
To just look at the offer.
Just please take us over the 6 other offers that you have.
Right.
And so we're having to use all these different tactics and strategies, and it's interesting. But if you're listening and you're interested in buying real estate, give us a call because we've sort of perfected, I think, our little tactics to win out on those bids. But let's get into it. You ready?
I think one reason, that is probably bringing the lower amount of days on market for the investment properties is, a lot of buyers that we deal with, on the residential side are realizing that they are not able to get the homes that they might want, so maybe purchasing a fixer-upper is, their only option. So I think it's probably driving a lot of potential clients, to those homes.
Yeah, and it's a really great way to go. I'm a huge fan of fixer-uppers just because I think that you can get a really good value. And if you're willing to do some of the sweat equity and put some of the time and headaches into fixing up a place, I think it really can be a smart investment wise for you.
So with the Valenzas today, my goal is to talk about at least 3 main topics. Number one, I want to learn, and for the listeners to all learn about kind of like working with your spouse to basically, you guys own your own business with your spouse and you work together every day. You also, I know you do business everywhere, but you've done a really good job on kind of building your name on the hill. I wanted to hear about that. And then just sort of juggling everything. I know you guys have 3 kids now and stuff like that. So do you mind just giving us a little introduction? Tell the listeners about the Valenza team, how you got into real estate and stuff like that.
Sure. About 5 years ago, Vinnie became a realtor so that we could sell our house over near Maplewood in St. Louis City. And that was our first deal. And then we bought a house on the hill where we've lived for almost 5 years.
Can't believe it's been 5 years already.
I know.
Yeah,
it's
time flies.
crazy. And then about 2 years ago, Vinnie also works with his family at Blue City Deli, and so he thought it would be a good idea if
Nice little plug, by the way.
Thank you. He thought it would be a good idea if I got my license so that we could work together to help our clients more fully. So 2 years ago, I got my license, and then we've worked together since and have really enjoyed working as a couple.
I'm shocked that you've only been licensed for 2 years because you've done so much business, but I think you and I have a relationship where we talk a lot about the deals, and I love that when our agents are willing to kind of get me involved and talk about the details and the strategies and stuff like that, and you do a really good job with that. So
We appreciate your help and that you're always there when we call you.
Yeah, so your family owns Blue City Deli?
Yeah, me and my dad started it 15 years ago, and about 4 years ago, my brother Joe really started getting into artisan baking, and that sort of segued into Neapolitan-style pizza. So three plus, about 4 years ago, we opened up Mellow's Pizzeria, which is just a side project, really. It's located in the garage behind Blue City Deli, and that's open Thursday and Friday evenings right now. But,
love it.
Yeah.
And I've seen you guys in the press and all that stuff. Your family seems to be good at kind of figuring out the ingredients to make a really popular, successful restaurant.
Yeah, because I think what's interesting about the pizza, it's really good, by the way.
Okay.
And so we will order it, and it's just very. I mean, it seems like you have this super fine-tuned, perfect recipe for this business, right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's not just about the pizza, but you have limited ingredients, and it's just like Thursday and Friday. It's not even on Saturdays, right?
No, I mean,
yeah.
we are hoping to add Saturday evenings on. It's been a challenge with the labor side of things. When we initially opened the pizzeria, we had hoped for it to be a lunchtime place, but our lunch business, I guess people just don't really associate pizza with lunchtime, so we noticed we were open a couple nights a week for dinner. Those nights were just, super busy, 100 people coming through. Whereas lunch, we'd have, 15, 20 people every day for lunch. We're like, this really isn't, we're breaking even. This isn't really working out. So I think people, just think in their head, I'm going to eat, pizza for dinner and a sandwich for lunch. So hoping to add Saturday evenings on, but Thursday and Friday have been great. And like you said, it's a very simple menu. So just typical with Neapolitan style pizza. It's the original pizza that was started in Naples, Italy. Very simple ingredients.
So you guys' family has been really good at kind of like getting together and really strategizing and coming up with plans for the restaurants, and obviously that's worked. And I think your family here, between you and Ann, you guys probably are, as you work together, do you spend a lot of time talking and strategizing about your business? And
we do. A lot of evenings we get together and we just discuss, who are our current clients, who are our potential future clients, how can we better serve them. Basically a lot of looking over our checklist, making sure that we dotted all of our I's and crossed all of our T's. There's nothing, too special about it. It's just having, due diligence and, continually checking up on our clients. And Ann has really been good at this, just having, great communication with our clients, just keeping that line of communication open, whether it's phone calls or text or email or however, the client prefers. But just having regular communication, keeping them up to date on, what tasks are coming up, with the transaction and what, we've just completed, what's done and what's down the road 2 weeks and all that sort of thing.
in your guys' relationship, or would you say you're competitive with each other at all?
I don't think so.
No.
We just try to work on each other's strengths so that the job gets done.
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting. I was thinking about husband and wife couples when they work together, and I would like to preface this by saying I absolutely love my husband. We're totally meant to be together, but I could never work with him, right? And he says pretty much the same thing about me. But so do you just know each other's strengths and you bring different...
There's definitely strengths, that Ann has. I feel like with her, like I said, the constant communication, with the other agent or the clients. I work part-time, at my family's restaurant a few days a week. So that was really the reason that she got her license, so that we could, keep everything up to date and be in constant communication, with our clients. So I think that's her strength.
So is Ann just the front person, and you're kind of you just
say
kind of the
so.
support, where
Vinnie-
you're kind
so
of,
Vinnie's-
even though you're still a team.
Right. Vinnie
Yeah.
shows the homes. He does comps. He does a lot of the searching for homes for buyers. And
Okay.
then he helps in negotiation.
Yeah, I really enjoy, just scouring the internet for potential homes for clients and, trying to find those, especially in this market, where everything, like we said, is just maybe on for 1 or 2 days, a lot of these homes, especially the areas that are really hot. In searching for homes online, I really like to, delve deep into a home that might not have been on somebody's radar, potential clients, sort of show them the possibilities, whether it be taking a fixer-upper and rehabbing it, things like that, or just finding a house that was maybe outside of their, core criteria of what they were looking for.
How it could work for them.
Yeah. So
Are your clients open to that?
Some are, and some, are very specific on, what they like. But, I mean, with this market, a lot of times you'll find that, when you take somebody out and maybe it'll be hard for them to find a home they like. They finally find the home they like. They're not ready to pull the trigger. And then, bam, first day it's gone. So the clients, I feel like, once they are involved in the process, they realize, pretty quickly that they're either going to have to, change up what they're looking for or be open to the possibility of buying a fixer-upper or, going outside of, the areas that they had originally, planned on buying.
When you guys have a new client in your business, whether it be a seller or a buyer, do one of you, like if it's someone that you met, for example, Vinnie, do you take that client like from start to finish, or does Anne play a role? And then, or how do you guys kind of split up the duties?
Yeah, there's definitely shared duties pretty much on every client. I feel like since the baby was born in January, like Anne was saying, I've been in charge of showing most of the properties. Anne has been in more of a lead type role when it comes to communicating with the agent on the other side and also with the clients. I mean, I will communicate with the clients as well. I focus more on showing the houses, running comps, just helping scour, the internet and find out, like I was saying, some potential houses that might not have been originally in the plan.
And then from the client's perspective, I guess you guys try to make it as smooth for them as possible, to not where like Anne asks them a question, they answer it, and then 2 days later you're asking the same question.
Yeah.
Do you and Anne, I know you talk all the time, obviously, but do you also like CC each other on all the emails, or how do you kind of keep each other in the loop?
We each have, an independent email, but then we have the Valenza team at Hermann London, and that goes to both of us. So we can, we just check it every time, an email comes through. So everything sort of goes through that email, even though we both have an independent email, so we can see everything that's being sent.
That communication between you guys is super important, because I've seen like teams in the past that they try to say, hey, you get 2 for the price of 1, but then the client's going, hey, I told you something, but now I'm out with your partner and they don't know it. Right. And so it sounds like you guys have really worked that out.
We try to have at least a weekly meeting to go through all of our deals. Sometimes it's more frequent than that, but a specific meeting to make sure we're up to speed on all the things that need to be done for each deal.
Yeah, I mean, during these, busy times of the year, spring and summer, every evening we're at least discussing a specific transaction that's happening, or we're going through our whole client list. It's not, every day that something is happening, but at least, reiterating, at least to ourselves what's happening, what did this client say we need to check on? What did that agent say we need to do? So having that daily update during these busy times, I feel like is very important.
Just from knowing you guys, to me, the amazing thing about that you're able to make that work is that I think you're both very interested in the business. You're both very respectful of each other, right? And you both care about your clients. And so I don't know, I think we've all seen other teams that are not so great at that. And people are probably listening going, like Shannon said, I could never work with my spouse, But you guys seem to be really good at like just wanting it to work.
Yeah, and I mean, we do enjoy each other's company. So I mean, we're good friends, on top of just being husband and wife too.
Yeah, I will say, I don't talk to you as often, Vinnie, but I talk to Anne a lot, and she'll call. And I think the one thing that is awesome about Anne, which really goes to both of you, is how behind the client and how much you want to do the right thing, make sure you have the best interest of the clients in mind, and you really kind of fight for them, because other agents will push back a lot, right? Sure. Like it's sometimes really difficult to get some of these things done, and it's easy to bow down, or it's easy. The easy thing is to do is just be like, oh, never mind, but nope. Anne doesn't like to let things go. I've noticed. And she keeps going and going. And she's like, I'm going to keep calling until I get the right answer. And then I'm going to formulate my plan.
Yeah. And I mean, Anne is a very honest person. I mean, anybody that knows her, knows that. So, and I think
she's honest and firm and straightforward and has, yes, for sure.
So, I mean, that really helps too with just getting to the bottom of, all the different things that pop up, when we have a transaction, because that's really what the clients want is they want the truth. So
yeah, and I think that's really important for sellers, though, because I think the hardest thing is that agents will walk in and tell sellers what they want to hear, what they think they want to hear, where I've noticed Anne has probably walked in a few times and said probably not what they wanted to hear, but it's been the truth. It's been in their best interest to know this information to help them, go to market with the best foot forward.
Sometimes I tell them not to sell their house, but
I've done that though. I've done that more than a couple times. It's not the right situation, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make the best. It doesn't make the sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's
financially sometimes for people to sell their house at a certain point.
If you purchased your house, when the market was up, even though the market is up now, it might have been a situation where, you're not going to come out on top, or you're just barely you're going to break even. So hold on to that house a few more years, and you'll be better off. You'll be in a better financial situation then.
Right.
And so what do you guys do about having the kids? You divide and conquer? It sounds like maybe you bring the kids on some appointments with you.
Yeah, I mean, we never bring all the kids. Just Vinny's so young right now, he sort of has to come with us. We have a handful of babysitters that we work with. Also, my parents live in the neighborhood with us, which is nice. So the girls love going over to Grandma and Grandpa's and hanging out.
But you have, a good relationship with your clients, and they kind of trust and respect you guys too, so they don't mind if you occasionally bring someone along.
Yeah, and Vinny's been a good baby. I mean, he knows we're on a meeting, and he stays nice and quiet.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the Vinnie Jr. over there. It's brave. It's so brave to bring a baby into a room.
Only 18 more years until he can get his real estate license.
I know.
We're looking forward to the Valenza team growing. All right, do you mind if I switch and start talking about the Hill a little bit?
No, let's do it.
One of the things that I see a lot of realtors do as they kind of start getting into their business and growing is they sort of like to choose a niche of some sort, whether it's an area of town, whether it's a type of business, short sales, foreclosures, whether it's a type of client like investors, like Shannon was mentioning earlier. And you guys live and love the Hill, right, which is sort of a little niche area of the city, I guess you could say. And so you wouldn't say that you've just focused on the Hill, right?
Probably about 70% of our business is across South City and South County, with a couple of West County listings and a little bit in St. Charles and Jefferson County, but I'd say primarily South City and South County.
So your business is probably primarily referral based, right?
Yes.
But if you feel like, I know that you guys were doing coaching and stuff for a while, and we can talk about that, but if you feel like getting out and door knocking or something like that, that would be something you would do on the Hill.
Sometimes we don't have to door knock. We just have to take a walk with the kids and talk to the neighbors, and then we'll hear about a house that is going to go up for sale just by being neighbors.
But I think that's what's interesting about the Hill is that it's it is a unique neighborhood, and people do come out and neighbors talk, and which I think is a great thing on so many different levels. But that's what I think, because you live on the Hill, that's how you get that information, and you guys seem to kind of entrench yourselves over there, and that's
I mean, that's one thing, we really like about the Hill is just the neighborly factor of it. I mean, there's a lot of cool shops and great restaurants, but
amazing restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah. But like Ann was saying, we might take a walk and there's so-and-so, across the street. Oh, your brother's selling their house over on Daggett. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. We'll go talk to him, that sort of thing. So, I mean, the Hill for a long time was almost all the real estate was, done off the market. So,
do you still see that? I have heard that about.
There's definitely some that happens. I mean, my brother bought a house on Shaw. They had heard their next door neighbors were going to sell their house, so before it went on market, we helped my parents purchase the house. And actually, my brother, when he purchased his house, I don't know if it was actually to the point of being on market, but Ann was at St. Ambrose Church, and she talked to Father Bomarito. She said, "Hey, I'm looking for a house for my brother-in-law." He said, "Oh, go talk to so-and-so." And so she ran over.
I think that describes the Hill to the T. That's just, it's a thorough network. It's just everybody kind of, I feel like, knows everybody.
Exactly. So, I mean, once you're there, I mean, you meet all the neighbors really quick, and then you know everybody, and you know about who's thinking about selling and who wants to buy, and you just put it all together.
Yeah, and it seems to be really difficult to buy on the Hill, though. I mean, there doesn't ever seem to be that many listings.
They're doing a ton of new construction, right? And you're getting some really pricey homes there.
Yeah, I mean, people are buying, 1 or 2 bedroom homes and, knocking them down and putting up a 2,000 square foot home. And
yeah, so that's a popular thing to do over there.
yeah, and we've seen a lot of them all over. And, the prices are, more than I would have imagined, when we first moved there. But I mean, it's been, partly just because the market has increased and centrally located in the city where, they can have a new build if possible, or just a great older home, that 2 beds and has a great neighborhood, with nice neighbors and great places to go. And
so let's talk about that new development, though, because what I think is interesting also about the Hill is you haven't seen you see new builds here and there popping in between, but there's some big developments going on where you have whole rows of townhomes going in and selling what seems like very high on the high end.
Yeah, right along Kings Highway there's the development they've been working on for the past couple of years. So I'm hoping, this year we can actually start to see some actual, buildings going up. Right now it's just been, I know there's a long process. I think they found maybe some hazardous material when they were tearing some of the old buildings down there. There's some old warehouses. So the project, has, I think, taken longer than originally planned, but I'm excited to see some new places going up.
I own a house right there at Bischoff in Hereford at our Cugiono place. Mm-hmm. And I think that house is probably like 30 years old by now. But I think that used to be like an old spaghetti factory that was there.
Oh, okay.
They tore that down and built that little neighborhood, Yeah. And I guess that's kind of what they're doing essentially across the street. When I lived in that house, those were just basically abandoned buildings as far as I knew, with spray paint and stuff all over them. So do you see this as a good thing for the Hill? Or is it they're bringing in too many new people, or like it's going to change density?
What's the attitude on the Hill with all the neighbors? Not necessarily.
Yeah, pros and cons. I mean, I've definitely, some of the people that have been there for a long time, I think they are afraid of, the changes that might come. But I mean, I don't see, how new buildings could be worse than an old, dilapidated warehouse.
I think they're. I'm guessing they're more worried about just all the extra people.
Yeah, and I mean, the Hill is, sort of limited as far as parking goes. So I know in the original plan, this was a couple of years ago when they were first announcing it, I think there were not enough parking spots for how many places they were putting in. So I guess there is maybe a possible fear of, more traffic.
I mean, Adriana's is probably loving that, but all the other neighbors who have to fight for a spot on the street already, right?
Yeah, and I mean, at our house, we ran into a situation. I mean, it's not a bad situation, but, having a popular restaurant, on the corner, you run into an issue, especially on the weekends, Thursday through Saturday evenings, where, you might not get the parking spot in front of your house. So a couple years ago, we put a parking pad in our backyard. And I mean, of course, that solved the problem. I mean, I know not everybody has that option, but, it's the pros and cons that come along with being in a popular neighborhood in the city.
So do you think that parking thing is what played into this new trend where everyone has a golf cart? Or is that just because it's so fun to drive a golf cart around?
I never thought about it from that perspective. I mean, I think it's...
I think it's just fun.
It's fun. I mean, you see the golf carts, in all of the, quote-unquote fun neighborhoods in the city. You see them in Soulard, Benton Park, Lafayette Square, the Hill. I think it's just, if you're in a neighborhood that is fun with a lot of destinations to go to, it's fun just to hop in the golf cart and not have to worry about, getting into the car. And it's just open. You can. I feel like it's probably you feel a little bit more connected with the neighborhood. When you're in a open vehicle like that.
When I lived there was like 3 people that had golf carts, and now I think you guys just had was it the Columbus Day Parade, and there was like 80 golf carts or something like that.
I feel like it's almost becoming mandatory. If you live on the Hill, you have to get a golf cart.
Well, that's like Soulard, right?
Yeah. But you have to have a garage to be able to have a golf cart, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I do know some people that just sort of like throw a tarp over it, or like you could probably
they make
buy
covers for them. I see them in Soulard. It's a pretty extravagant cover. But I don't know how much it costs, but yeah, it's pretty. It's as good as a garage, I would say.
So as our local Hill experts, one of the nice things about sort of, choosing that niche or whatever is I think that when people, especially people at our company, but other people, when they think of the Hill real estate, they call you. I've definitely had people that said, hey, I want to buy a house on the Hill. And who's the first person I call? The Valenza team, right?
Sure.
And so I'm guessing that's been good for you guys just to be, and any realtor that's kind of thinking of as a niche is then you're going to get the calls from people that are.
Yeah, I mean, when you're an agent, and you're involved in your neighborhood, it just makes sense, that sort of the ins and the outs of the neighborhood, and you might have a little bit of an edge over somebody who doesn't live in the neighborhood on how to, approach a transaction.
Or how to value a house. Like, you'll know more about, oh, well, that one has this weird feature of it or whatever than somebody else might.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just look at the Hill, and you didn't live in St. Louis, you'd say, well, there's no way those homes, are that valuable, because there's a place that's sold, on the other side of Hampton or the north side of 44 for a lot less money. But it's like, when you're there, you know the specifics, that there's something special about the neighborhood itself. So
let's ask each one of you, what is your favorite restaurant? And on the Hill, of course.
Sure.
And if you want to, you can break that down by lunch and dinner, because I think there's a big difference.
Well, aside from Blue City, of course.
Yeah, their favorite restaurant on the Hill.
On the Hill?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Okay.
I mean, Anthonino's is right at the corner of our street, so am I stealing that one for you? Sorry, that's Anne's favorite.
Is that your favorite lunch or dinner, or both?
I think both.
Both.
Why? What do you get there?
I like the gyro for lunch.
The chicken gyro?
No,
the regular gyro.
Lamb. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And then
Sometimes you guys get pizza for dinner, don't you?
yeah.
I really like their gyro salad too. It's just a regular house salad, but it has the gyro meat on it. It's really good.
Mm.
Okay, I'm surprised. I thought I was going to get either a Joya's or an Adriana's maybe for lunch.
I'll say Adriana's for me.
Adriana's?
Yeah.
Okay. I like to go to Zia's for lunch because you get lunch prices with, dinner quality food or whatever.
Yeah, Zia's is good too, especially for pasta. But I like Adriana's, just coming from a sandwich background, there's a lot of sandwich places in St. Louis, and I feel like a lot of places, don't really reach that level of, what I consider to be, expertise, or perfection. But I feel like Adriana's, they're right up there with Blue City Deli. So I really, I enjoy going there and eating their sandwiches.
All right. So what keeps you guys motivated? I mean, you're working together and, as realtors, you don't have a boss. What would you say would keep you guys motivated to keep going every day and keep fighting for your clients and looking for new business and all that type of thing?
We really enjoy helping people. So a lot of our clients are people that we know through the deli or church or different friends, and it's exciting to be able to help them find their homes or sell their homes for a good profit and be a part of that big time in their lives.
Yeah, I feel like, I know it's like this for a lot of agents, but, when you meet with a client, you sort of figure out a little bit of their backstory and, what their hopes and dreams are, for their future home. It helps you connect with the person and you get emotionally involved, which I know they say you're not supposed to get emotionally involved, especially, when it comes to buying a home, when you get attached to the home. But it is good, I think, for the agents to become emotionally involved, with their clients on a certain level. Obviously, you want to be level-headed when the client needs you to be, but to have that emotional connection, I feel like really helps the agent, fight for their client and look for the best deal and, try to find the right home, for the buyers or try to get the right price for the sellers.
So what's been your favorite deal?
So Vinnie and I have had the opportunity to help host a block party each year on our block. We live on Dempsey Avenue, and it's only one block long. So another gal in our neighborhood and I are block captains. And at one of our block parties, we have a neighbor, and she said, my sister's looking for a house on the hill. And we had just met someone else talking about selling their house on the hill. And we were able to have them come together, and both parties were really excited. It was just a nice way to help both people out, but also build up our community. So we got a new neighbor and then helped an old neighbor move to a beautiful mansion in Iowa that they're going to restore that they got for a steal. So it was a fun deal.
So you do a block party?
Yeah, just in August 18th.
Do you get a bounce house? Do you go all out, or is this just
we have the fire truck.
Not really any kids.
Sometimes a fire truck comes. There's a few kids on the block. It's growing, and then we.
I like the fire truck idea.
This year it's going to be August 18th, which is one of our neighbors, Gertrude. It's her, I think, 93rd birthday. So we're going to celebrate Gertrude's birthday and have our block party on the 18th.
So anyone who's listening who lives on Dempsey, on your block,
all 5 people.
can come on August
10
18th.
houses on there.
But I can get that. So you guys were just doing something nice for the neighborhood and your neighbors and having fun, and you ended up getting business out of that, and that's rewarding, and you had fun with that.
I love block parties, though. It brings out neighbors and that you don't normally see or talk to because...
Yeah, it's sort of like a family reunion.
Yeah, it is kind of nice. I like doing it.
All right, so this is the first podcast we've had with the baby in the room, and if you notice, Anne is much more of a talker than we've gotten out of Anne today, but that's because she's been taking care of little Junior. And now we're doing a diaper change, and so this is just part of working with the Valenza team, right?
This is life.
Yeah, and it's been interesting to see even in this podcast how you guys have taken on different roles and kind of helped each other out. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys the 5 questions we ask every guest, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And answer at your leisure here. So
I like that diaper change. So Vinnie just changed the baby's diaper, but didn't bother to put the pants back on. Just like, hey, I'm done.
Well, there's a reason behind that.
All right, so who lives under your roof?
So there's me and Anne, and then we have our daughter Mary, who's 7. Joan is 4, and Vinnie 4 months.
And any pets?
No pets.
We had
You had to think about it. Yeah.
We had chickens, but we recently,
Did you have them for dinner?
No.
We sent them to Barnhart,
Yeah,
so
we
we'd
have a
have a
cousin
bigger
who lives in-
backyard for the kids.
Yeah.
Our cousin who lives in Barnhart, she is a chicken expert, so we sent them down there, and we're going to focus a little bit more on the kids.
Yeah, well, it was probably fun for the kids to play with the chickens for a while.
It was, but
It's nice to get your yard back, too.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is one thing, on the hill. I mean, some places on the hill have a nice big lot, but ours is somewhat limited in space, so the kids are getting to the age where they want to run around the backyard and play soccer, so having a little bit more space with grass is nice for them.
All right, where are you your best?
I think we're our best. I don't know. I'm my best, I guess, with our family, working together. So being a mom and helping people out as a realtor, being a good wife, I guess.
Ooh.
That's pretty broad. I don't know.
It's the best I've got, Adam. It's the end of the meeting.
Where am I my best? I don't know. I really enjoy, just I think, like I said earlier, the strengths, that I have, in real estate would be showing homes and running comps and, looking for dream homes for people.
All right. Do you have a favorite blog or podcast?
We talked about it earlier, but I watch a lot of Joe Rogan on YouTube.
Okay. And Anne, do you have like a favorite book?
Trixie Belden is what I'm reading Mary right now, and it's very exciting. I read it when I was little.
Are these kids' books?
That's a kid's book.
Okay.
It's
Hold
just
on.
a state in life where I am.
All right. What's your guilty pleasure?
I like chocolate.
Guilty pleasure. I mean, like I told you earlier, I've been on a low-carb diet, so whenever I can grab a piece of pizza from Mellow's, that's my guilty pleasure.
Okay. And last question, who is your mentor and how have you thanked them?
I mean, I'd say my dad is probably my biggest mentor. I've been working with him for 15 years now at the restaurants. And, besides just giving me tons of training, at the restaurants, he sort of, helped prepare me for life, as most parents do. But having that extra relationship that we have, as business partners too, that's a good thing, for me.
And so how have you thanked
I
them?
thanked him. I gave him 3 grandkids. I don't know.
Wow.
He seems to like that.
Love it. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. If you are somebody who has any topics that you want us to cover, any special guest suggestions, anything like that, we'd love to hear from you. Podcast at hermanlondon.com. Give us a shout out. And thanks for listening and take care.